and welcome to our quali predictions for the Australian GP here in the year of 2022. First time in the track since 2019. Of course, got canceled in 2020 because of the pandemic, and now we're back. Any thoughts, William?
Oh, can you smell it in the air, Juan? The shrimp on the Barbie? The dingo ate my baby? Stingray killed my famous Australian buddy? All these things, I can
Crikey,
smell
you
it,
can't
man.
say that.
Oh man, I'm excited. I love the back-to-back weeks because it feels like a week without racing is just wrong.
Yeah.
Like I've said before, I'm too used to sports where it's like every single week or every 2 3 days there's a game. I know they got some time, but I'm excited. I'm ready to watch this one. It's gonna be fun. Juan, who do you think is gonna take out qualifying? Who's gonna kill it this weekend?
So I have a feeling that Carlos Sainz is gonna whip out some magic and do something incredible and get that pole position.
You're you're
That's
not
what I'm
thinking
going with.
Perez?
Perez, he can maybe have it in him. He had it in him in Saudi Arabia. So, but I think with him, it's gonna like everything has to be perfect. Sainz, I think he's been looking super strong. Not as strong as Leclerc, but he's been looking super strong. And I think if he can get a pole position, that's gonna really kind of give him a confidence boost and bring the fight to his teammate.
I'm gonna stick with Ferrari, but I'm gonna go Leclerc. He's just so good and so focused this year so far.
Yeah.
I don't see anybody slowing him down unless, obviously a Red Bull comes in with a wild Q3 lap. I could see him holding that top spot again. But if we're talking about other places, I am hyped. My big surprise out of nowhere is gonna be Lando Norris. It is his redemption weekend.
Mm.
I think Norris, he's not. I mean, they're looking a little iffy on it, but I think if he can push himself through Q3, I would say not a huge problem. He can do it without any big mistakes with the
Yeah.
speed he's got now, and he just needs to put in one banger of a lap, which I know he's done before, and he can do it again. I would say Ricardo, but I'd be worried Ricardo is even going to get to Q3. He just seems so off pace, so flustered. But that's my big thing is Leclerc one, Norris is going to sneak in top five, and then obviously you're going to have Red Bull and
Wow.
Ferrari peppered in
So
everywhere else.
is this Mercedes McLaren F1 car just suddenly going to be good by tomorrow?
I don't think it's suddenly going to be good. I just think he's going to find that lap. I don't know. He'll probably drop
Nah,
off
they're
during the
too
race.
behind. They're way too behind. I think Q3, but he's gonna be. I think he's gonna be one of the last three in Q3.
Yeah. Do you think you got any surprise people sneaking into Q3?
Surprise! I think we might see a Yuki Q3. I think it's a pretty big possibility. Him and Pierre Gasly. It's not looking as fast as like the Alpines, which are like for sure getting into Q3. But traffic in this map is pretty nuts, right? So there was a lot of impeding incidents during free practice. So I would not be surprised if there's something that comes out during this and then results in some penalties and some people moving on the grid because of those penalties.
I could see that happening in Q1, but usually Q3 with the reduced amount of cars, they give each other enough space to actually do it, unless there's an incident, of
Right.
course. I mean, what do you think about,
Well, I
the
want to
the
see Haas.
champions?
Well,
You
I
want
want
to
to see
say
Haas in the.
Haas?
Yeah, I want to see Haas come out in a Q3. I was gonna say Mick Schumacher. Would look
Yeah.
pretty cool in Q3. He needs to prove something because right now he's not looking too hot. And I don't think they'll keep a bad racer if they have a good car.
I guess so, but I mean, both of the Haas have been struggling this weekend so far with this track, so it is yet to be seen. I have no hopes for him. Maybe a sneak into Q2, but that's about it. Because obviously, Latifi and Albon, they're just going to be holding up the back this year.
Yeah,
And it's
they're
really disappointing, but yeah, they are not doing good in that Williams. It is a bad car this year.
almost as bad as the Aston Martin, which has had a huge drop off in performance as well. I think just a few seasons ago they were fighting for like P4, 5 on the
Yeah.
constructors, and they're nowhere to be found right now. So I think that's another loser team that's going to be missing out. Mercedes is looking okay. They're not looking too bad, but they're not looking too great either. They're right in the mix with AlphaTauri, and I think Alfa Romeo. I think it's going to be a competition between those three teams to get into Q3.
See, it would never shock me if Hamilton or Russell gets into Q3. I mean, I feel like they have the ability, both of them, and the car is obviously not very good right now, and they're still working it out, and you can tell they're frustrated. driving these cars. But I wouldn't be surprised to see at least one of them sneak into Q3. Maybe skin of their teeth, but I could see them do it.
And I think that covers a lot of our predictions on where we think teams are going to fall and where we think drivers are going to fall. I just hope there's no red flags. I think I want to see a very clean qualification, but I have a feeling there's going to be red flags considering anytime there was debris on the apex, on the racing line, they were red flagging the session immediately.
Which makes sense because, I mean, they're going 180 miles an hour through some of those turns, and a pop tire is a potentially dead driver. I mean, it's skin of your teeth kind of action. And one little bump, one little mistake, one little piece of debris, damage, carbon fiber, shiny bit can absolutely destroy a human being with 30 G's of lateral force.
Yeah. So hopefully they stay safe out there. And those are our predictions for the Australian GP.